Hey everyone, Becky here. I wanted to take some time to talk about tonight's episode of Impact Wrestling, which covered the fallout from Against All Odds that aired this past Saturday. And as I suspected, a big chunk of this episode was devoted to the fallout from what Don Callis did at the end of that event, which was fire Sami Callihan, which was a big deal because Sami Callihan is supposed to face Kenny Omega in at Slammiversary next month. So you fire the champion's opponent, that's a big freaking deal. So the show opens and everyone's like, what are we going to do? Who's going to face Kenny Omega? What's going to happen? And Scott D'Amore is rightfully PO'd. I mean, who wouldn't be? And that's when he drops the bombshell. He says the Anthem board, Anthem being the company that owns Impact Wrestling, if I remember correctly, is sending a representative to give a statement on all of this. And that is the theme that dominates the rest of the show. Who is Anthem sending? What are they going to say? What are they going to do? And who the heck is going to face Kenny Omega at Slammiversary? I had a feeling I knew what was going to happen, but I had to wait almost all night to find out. So I'll get to that in a minute. Because I got to talk about what happened in the middle, which is Moose attempting to hijack the show. Yes, he did. Because Moose, being screwed over out of winning the Impact World title by the Elite, now that Sami was at the time fired, he wanted his rematch at Slammiversary with Kenny Omega. Makes sense. But of course, Scott D'Amore isn't just going to give it to him, so Moose, being Moose, decided to hijack the show, a la Stone Cold from the 1990s. If you watched wrestling then, you know, like there was a couple times Stone Cold Steve Austin would hijack episodes of Raw, just plant a chair in the middle of the ring, grab a mic, and talk about whatever until he got his way. And this was literally almost exactly like that, except instead of getting Scott D'Amore to come out and talk to him, he got attacked by the returning Chris Sabin, who I'm embarrassed to say I'd completely forgotten had been off TV because Moose had injured him at the Under Siege event. I'm so embarrassed I forgot that. But the good news is Sabin is back, and Sabin is challenging Moose to a match at Slammiversary. And as soon as that challenge came out, I knew instantly what was going to happen. Because, like, there's no point in making that challenge if you're not going to ultimately accept. So this is the perfect way to move Moose on from the Kenny Omega feud. I know that ultimately Moose will accept, and it's going to be a great match. Chris Sabin versus Moose, I'll watch it. And, but yeah, based on what happened at the end of the show, I was proven right. Ultimately, Moose is going to say yes to this match, and it will be so good to see. Let's see. Fast forward to the end of the show, and what I thought was going to happen after seeing the end of Against All Odds did, in fact, happen. Though it didn't quite play out the way I thought it would. Here's, in a nutshell, what happened. Sami Callihan, after the main event, storms the ring. He's got a mic, and he's angry. I mean, livid. He's calling everybody out. He's calling Kenny out, Don out, Scott out. Everyone. He wants blood. And finally Scott comes out, talks him down from the ledge, says he's got a plan. So he somehow convinces Sami, okay, we'll do it Scott's way this time. And he leaves in that weird voodoo way he does. Here comes Don, who, I should mention, has bragged already once this evening that he's not afraid of whatever the Anthem representative is going to say, because he's the only one with the guts to do what's right for the company. Ha 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 ha. You know, the way heels do. And most noticeably heels who are about to get what's coming to them. So, turns out, Anthem's representative is Tommy Dreamer. Did not see that coming, but I'll take it. So, for some reason, and this confused the heck out of me, they tried to set it up to make us think that Scott D'Amore was going to be the one getting sacked, which I don't get at all, because it's clearly been Scott's the good guy, Don's the bad guy. It's painfully obvious who's about to get the axe here, and it should not enter our minds at all that it could be Scott D'Amore. So I don't know why Impact tried to do that. They should have just gone cut straight to the chase. But whatever. The important thing is the right conclusion happened, and Don Callis got fired. Yes, as soon as he fired Sami Callihan, I knew this was coming. And that part at least played out exactly like I thought it would. It was beautiful. He was fuming. He was spouting threats. Oh, it was glorious. I love it when villains get their comeuppance in wrestling angles, and this was perfect. The only thing that would have made it better is if Kenny Omega had been present to voice his displeasure at his mentor, benefactor, whatchamacallit, losing all his privileges at Impact. But oh, I'm gonna love how this plays out going forward towards Slammiversary. And I'm actually kind of afraid for Kenny Omega now, because the show ends with Sami Callihan telling Don Callis in no uncertain terms, get down, cat, in no uncertain terms, that at Slammiversary he is going to beat Kenny Omega's brains out. And he's going to make Don Callis watch. And I haven't seen too much of Sami Callihan's work, but I believe him. And so I'm afraid for what might happen to Kenny Omega, in storyline at least. And of course, given that Sami not so subtly mentioned the fact that Don Callis no longer has his EVP privileges to protect him, I get the slight feeling that Don Callis is in for a beating at some point between now and Slammiversary. I could see it happening. He's pissed a lot of people off. So let me make sure I haven't forgotten any highlights of Impact. Ansem set the representative, covered the whole night. Moose tried to hijack the show and failed miserably because Sabin broke it up in brilliant fashion too. Oh yeah, one random note I wanted to mention. Has anyone else noticed that W. Morrissey, the former Big Cass, looks and acts a lot like Edge? Got the long, dark blonde hair, got the beard. Even his promo style reminds me of Edge. Does anyone else see that, or is it just me? Just me? Okay, cool. Anyways, those are the big things I wanted to highlight from tonight's episode of Impact. All of that played out beautifully, except for that attempted misdirection to try and make us think that Scott D'Amore was going to be the one losing his job. It didn't work. I'm glad they tried, but it doesn't work. They should have just fired Don straight off. Maybe it would have worked better with a live audience, but it is what it is. There was no Kenny Omega on tonight's show. I'm sure he'll be back next week now that Don Callis is no longer EVP. I'm sure he'll have something to say about it. But we'll just have to wait till next week to see what happens. So that's all from me with my thoughts on Impact. Loved all of it. Still so happy that Don Callis got fired. I figured it was coming given the news that he was moving on to being Kenny Omega's full-time manager, but it was so great to see it play out on TV. So I can't wait to see where it goes from here. I hope you liked my thoughts on the show. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.